Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Mason Dupree. If you haven't watched these videos before, this is just sort of a documenting process where I'm sharing kind of what I learned as I build my own marketing agency, as well as working full time for another. And I wanted to go through, one of my last videos I talked about some of the ideas that I had saved in these kind of notebooks from working on my, my business. And I went through it today, and I did find a lesson that I think was actually really valuable, and one that I'm actually pretty excited to talk about. And it sort of starts off with a story, but it's generally speaking about, being able to find the right target customer, not making a mistake when it comes to who you think you're supposed to be targeting. When I went to school, at Clemson for business, one of the topics that I really easily blew over and ignored was sort of the idea of a customer avatar, or, some sort of thing like that. And while it may seem like a ridiculous sort of exercise, I think if you were to spend an extra hour or 2 hours really trying to mull over the details, I think you can get a lot of value out of it, and it'll save you from making, this mistake, which I'm about to share now. So when I was starting my agency, my first thought was, okay, I'm trying to serve real estate agents, and sort of the value proposition, or what I was, providing as a service was, running ads on Google or Facebook, to a landing page, to a funnel, and then feeding that into a CRM, and then I'd provide the CRM, and obviously provide all the follow-up sequences and things like that in the CRM. So it was sort of built out and customized for real estate agents and stuff like that. And basically, the hope was to sort of provide a full marketing funnel service for agents, because when I was an agent personally, and this is kind of part of the story, I didn't have something like that. At least for the first 2 years, I had no clue what a CRM was, or all that stuff. So it wasn't until I joined a team that I learned those lessons. And a lot of times agents do struggle for a year or two, then they join a team, then they figure things out, and then they move on. So I thought maybe this is a quick way of delivering at a lower cost, hopefully. At least it was a lower cost than what my team was paying for these things. The same service of the same quality. But what I was trying to kind of talk about there is that I started with this idea of like, okay, I'm going to serve agents. I'm going to serve agents that are newer and help them sort of shortcut that process of spending the 2 years in La La Land while they're trying to figure out whether or not they should join a team or not, or really providing the education that they needed to know that they needed to put a system in place. And what I ended up doing inadvertently through that was targeting the wrong customer, because what I wasn't really reflecting on was really what my particular solution was actually solving, and for whom, most importantly. Now, when, with this service, it did require a certain commitment to a level of ad spend on a consistent basis for a long period of time, because the sales cycle for real estate is naturally really long. So you've already got to be someone who's confident in your own abilities and has the budget to be able to spend consistently for a couple of months on ads, and then be able to nurture leads, be able to cold call leads, things like that. Like, there's a couple of skills involved that are there and are required in order for you to be, successful with this sort of a system. And when I was scripting my first set of ads, I didn't really have that in the back of my mind. I was just thinking about realtors, and I was like, well, what are realtors struggling with? I was too broad in my audience targeting, and so I started with, do you have any idea, or do you, I have no clue how to generate leads, or are you struggling to figure out how to generate leads, or are you a struggling real estate agent trying to figure out a way to make real estate consistent and successful for yourself, things like that. Just really sort of hitting the pain point of like, it's hard to figure out where you should get your leads from. And because I didn't spend that extra time understanding what my business provides and to whom, I decided to go with that broad targeting method and hit those people. And what I found, subsequently after that, after, targeting my, real estate related people through these ads, is that a lot of them would come through and they'd have the concerns of a new agent, right? Because I was marketing to myself, a new agent, but I was providing a service that was really built and only really sustainable for larger, more successful, confident agents. And so I would get people who'd come into the funnel, and we'd have sales calls, and they're like, well, I don't have the money to invest in that because I'm not successful in real estate, or I'm not certain, maybe they wouldn't convey this to me necessarily, but I had the same problem where it's like, well, I'm not certain that I want to spend money or invest money in any marketing strategy. One, because there's the risk of it not working on its own, but also there's the risk of me not being good enough to be able to convert these leads, right? I'm not confident in my ability to provide good service to real estate, as a real estate professional. So why would I invest, upwards of around $1,000 a month, in this process as a quick risk gamble kind of thing? And so I was hitting the wrong target there. And had I at least spent an hour or two really diving into who this service is built for and who would it best fit and what were the qualifications, then I would have figured that out a lot sooner, and I would have saved a couple $1,000s on ads running to the wrong audience. So, excuse me, the next thing I did as soon as I realized that is I spent like 3 days scripting, editing, filming new content, new ads, as well as a new VSL in the funnel, video sales letter, if you guys have never heard of that. And I dove deep into what are the pain points of the qualified buyers I'm looking for. And so, like I said earlier, to be qualified for this service, you have to be in some level confident in your own ability as a real estate agent. You have to also be semi-successful. You have to have a budget, right? Because you need revenue coming in order to be able to afford to invest in yourself again. And those were kind of really big, the big two. There's also a couple of other indicators that I added into the VSL, one of which being like, do you prefer working with listings? Are you better on that analytical side where you're just trying to find fair market value as opposed to pitching countertops and wallpaper and things like that, right? So a lot of little tiny benefits that would only really be of interest to people who are qualified for my offer. And once I started doing that, I started getting far more qualified leads coming through the funnel, because what I wasn't realizing is that the hooks I was using act as filters for the people I'm getting through my whole system. And if I use the wrong hooks at the very beginning, because content, and the creative at the very beginning where ads are is probably one of the most key parts, and everything feeds after that, right? If you're getting the wrong content through the funnel, you need to check up the funnel. Ads being one of them, the hook being one of them. If I'm sharing, pain points that are relatable to early real estate agents with no confidence and no budget, then I'm going to get early real estate agents with no confidence and no budget through the funnel, and you've wasted your ad spend. Whereas if you were to have communicated those things right off the bat, hey, are you a real estate agent who is looking to transition from the buyer market to the seller market? That shows that they have experience, they've done success in real estate. And if you talk to a lot of agents, they all kind of get to this point where they ran out of time. You can only work with so many buyers within a month, right? And so you're actually limited by the amount of customers you can serve, just purely on the amount of time it takes to serve a buyer client. So if you can make the transition to a seller, you have a lot more leverage. Leads, listings, leverage. It's in a book for real estate agents. But basically their whole goal, once they've reached some level of success in business, is to then convert to a listing agent. It becomes a lot easier to build teams, make more money, be more efficient with the time, serve more customers. And so that would show or indicate, if someone who's interested in that particular pain point would be interested in a service that would help them get more listing leads in particular, right? Because that was a whole nother sort of specificity that I got into, was that I don't want to just generate buyer leads. I want to generate seller leads. And that kind of takes me to even another hook where a new hook that I used to kind of get people, that indicated they might have had a budget, was saying, hey, are you tired of paying for leads, crappy buyer leads or whatever? People who would get caught on that hook would have likely spent money in the past getting leads and have had pain points associated with the solution that I provide, which is not doing buyers, but doing sellers instead, right? It's really key to dig deep into your messaging. That first 3 seconds of an ad, if it's video or whatever it is, that first line, the headline of an ad, is incredibly important, and it is going to dictate whose attention you get and how well they're going to filter the funnel. Because if you get your marketing, I think Hormozi says something about like one-to-one marketing. If it feels like one-to-one marketing, the response rates go up. If it feels like it's broad marketing, the response rates go down. And so if you can get very niche on what it is that target client is experiencing and almost speak directly to their pains, which is easier said than done once you've gone through a couple of these sales calls, then you can capture the right audience, the right qualified buyer or buyers or customers for your plan, and get them through the funnel. And trust me, like I said, please, even if it sounds a little ridiculous to kind of create a customer avatar, really go through what your business provides and who you think your target customer is, and niche down, make it as specific as possible, and you'll through that find ways of making your ads more effective, more appealing to the right customer, and then overall it raise the ROI of your funnel. And the retention rates, the response rates, all kinds of stuff. So that was just sort of a short lesson, excuse me, that I wanted to share, just based on some sort of statistical analysis that I've done with my own funnels. And I think if you guys just spent, like I said, an hour or two just really getting clear on who it is you serve and what their particular pain points are, and what particular pain points you are trying to solve with your business, then I think you're going to make far more effective marketing. You're going to get a higher engagement rate, higher click-through rate, higher conversions, more booking calls, and more sales. So appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, thanks.